Hi, and welcome to Hoob's Room. Today I want to talk about gamifying the gradebook. Before we talk about a gamified gradebook, let's review how the traditional gradebook works. First of all, students are given specific assignments or assessments. These are graded and then returned. The scores for these students are determined by subtracting the number of incorrect responses from the total number of points possible. The student's final grade is then determined by the total number of incorrect answers subtracted from the total number of points possible in the course. This is in turn turned into a ratio or percentage grade. For example, if we had a course where 1,000 points were possible and the student missed or answered incorrectly 175 of those possible points, the student's final grade would be 1,000 minus 175. That's 825, or 825 out of 1,000. And that's 82.5%. That's a B. It's pretty straightforward. Now, oftentimes, teachers will say at the beginning of the term to motivate their students, okay, right now, everyone has an A. All you have to do is keep it. I've said that myself to my students, but I'll never say it again. It's really a horrible thing to say, because no matter what a student does, their grade is going to go down. Even an A student's grade is going to drop over the course of the term. Now, granted, it drops slowly, but it still drops. And for C or D students, the drop is a lot more significant and it happens a lot more quickly. What's worse is that a student's grade can get to the point where mathematically it's impossible to bring up. This is because new assignments mean more points possible. That makes it harder and harder to bring that percentage up. When that happens, what does a student typically do? Well, usually they'll check out of the class or just stop participating. And more often than not, they can become disruptive. We might as well say at the beginning of the term, okay, beatings are going to continue until your morale improves. Traditional gradebooks are a subtractive method of assessing students. So what does a gamified gradebook look like? Before we can have a gamified gradebook, there need to be some vocabulary changes in the classroom. Points become experience points, or XP. Letter grades are replaced with levels. Now, typically there'll be more than 5 levels. It's not a direct replacement for the A, B, C, D, F letter grades. Now let's set our gamified gradebook up. Let's take the same course, which had 1,000 points possible. We need to decide on the number of levels we're going to have in our class. Let's have 10. As students turn in assignments or take assessments, they will earn XP. As they do, as they gain more and more experience points, they'll level up. So we need to figure out now how many experience points will be required for each level. Now, it'd be easy to say, okay, we have 1,000 points possible. We have 10 levels. That's 100 experience points per level. You could do that. But typically in a game, it's easier to advance in the lower levels and more difficult as the levels get higher. So you'll need fewer experience points in the lower levels to go from one level to the next. And you'll need more experience points later on. I would suggest setting up something like this. And obviously this is scalable up to any number of points possible and with any number of levels. I would start, level 0 experience points, obviously. After a student earns 50, they'll be at level 1, 125, they'll be at level 2, and then so on and so on and so on until up to level 10, where they need 925 experience points. This way, students will level up quickly at the beginning, and this will help encourage buy-in and engagement in the process. You can also assign rewards for reaching certain levels. For example, at level 3, you could have 1 bathroom break per week. At level 6, that jumps up to 2. At level 9, maybe you let students listen to music so long as they're working individually on assignments. To make it more interesting, you could also give names to the different levels, where level 0 is a homeless vagabond, level 1 is a starving peasant, level 3 is a successful farmer, and level 5, they're a merchant. They become royalty at level 7, where they become lords and ladies, all the way up to king or queen at 9, and emperor or empress at level 10. So now, at the beginning of the class, instead of saying, you all have an A, all you have to do is keep it, now you say, okay, everybody has an F. but you can level up. And to win this class, all you have to do is make it up to level 10. So why is this better? Well, first of all, it's additive. A student's grade will never, ever go down. The grade always goes up. Students and parents always know where the student stands. They know how many experience points the student has. They know how many experience points they'll need to go up to the next level. And they'll know how many experience points they need to go up to the level that they wish to earn. And the next level is never out of reach. They can always reach that next level. They always know what they have to do in order to do it. I think this is a more intuitive grading system as well. The more experience points you earn, the better you'll do in the class. There's a great book that goes into a lot more detail about gamifying the classroom. Obviously, the Gradebook is just part of it. This book is called The Multiplayer Classroom by Dr. Lee Sheldon, and I'll put a link to it below in the comments as well. Okay, so this looks cool and all, but does it work? Dr. Chris Haskell looked at fully gamified classrooms. Obviously, more than just the Gradebook. These classes used quest-based learning, and like I said, we're going to talk about those later. But a quest-based learning system uses this style of Gradebook. So what did he find? Over 2.5 years and 13,000 students, 900 teachers in 14 countries, where a traditional classroom would see about a 71% success rate with students earning an A, B, or C, the gamified classrooms were seeing a 93% success rate with students earning A's. But notice a couple things with this system. Level 10, that requires 925 experience points. If the class had a total possible number of points of 1,925, that's 92.5%. That's an A. And remember, the work hasn't changed. The vocabulary has changed. Students are doing the same work. The points just have a different name, and those points are recorded a little differently. That's all. And this is true with a lot of gamification. Really, it's more about vocabulary than anything else. So what are the big obstacles to gamifying your gradebook? I think there are two big issues to consider. The first issue is students and parents who absolutely, positively need to know what that student's grade is at every second. So how can we deal with this? This issue is about communication. It's important to explain that the work is the same, that if the student keeps up with the work, he or she is going to be just fine. Also, this is more like real life. In the real world outside of high school, or any school for that matter, when we're given a task, we don't get graded or feedback until the process is done, until the task is done. And in the student's case, their task is this class. Another solution would be to set up milestones. In our class, for example, if it's a semester-long course, 18 weeks, and the student would need to earn 925 experience points to win, so long as they're earning about 50 experience points per week, they'll reach level 10 by the end of the term. And so long as they understand that, and the parents understand that, I think that they'll get on board with it. Second is student athletes. This is a bigger issue, I think, because student athletes have to have a passing grade in their classes in order to pass. And our system doesn't have passing grades, at least not until the very end. In fact, at the beginning, all students are failing, technically. So what can we do? I think the solution here is just like before, is milestones. We sit down with a student and we say, okay, this is where you need to be throughout the semester. You need to be earning this many points this often. You need to be at this level by these dates in order to play. And if you do that, I'll make sure the coach knows that you're eligible to play. More importantly, if you hit these milestones, by the end of the term, you're going to have an A. So that's what a gradebook looks like in a gamified classroom. I think that it's a great system. It's a little different than a typical gradebook. Actually, it's a lot different. But really, it's just the vocabulary that's changed in it. Very little has changed in the actual work. It's all the same work. It's just being recorded a little differently. Okay, so let me know in the comments below if there are any other issues with the gamified gradebook that you can see. Even better, if there's an issue that I haven't addressed here and you have a solution for it already, I would love to hear that. If there's anything you'd like for me to talk about in future videos, please let me know that as well. Let me know if you're using a gamified gradebook in your classroom already. I'd love to hear that. Like and subscribe if you'd like to hear more. As always, thanks for hanging out with me and take care.